Last week, tens of millions of Americans, empowered by the internet, affected political change here in Washington. The Congress was on a trajectory to pass legislation that would change the internet as we know it. It would reshape the internet in a way, in my view, that would have been harmful to our economy, our democracy, and our national security interests. Last week, the Congress did what the American people called for instead of what the Washington insiders wanted. That's what I call real change. It was a grassroots victory for the history books. And as one commentator said, now we are in unexplored territory. Here's why. 8 million of the 162 million that visited Wikipedia took action to influence their member of Congress. 7 million Americans signed Google's petition to block consideration of PIPA. Hundreds of thousands of Americans called the Congress. In all, in just one day, more than 15 million Americans communicated with the Congress and urged it to reject the Hollywood proposal to censor and censure the internet. The 15 million Americans that took action, who signed the petitions, who provided their email address, a zip code, and a desire to be informed, they are now going to be watching us like never before. The 15 million that looked up and spoke, they're not faceless and they're not anonymous. They are people like Frances Stewart of Maryland, Nancy Linton from Oregon, and Debbie Kearns from East Hartford, Connecticut, and John Jewett of Colorado, who gave their names to websites around the country. They're joined by millions of other Americans that were raising concern for months before last week's web blackout and support the filibuster that I announced here in the United States Senate, Mr. President, almost a year and a half ago. Among the lessons we should have learned from the events of the past few weeks is the importance of letting the public in on what we're doing. There are serious unintended consequences when members of Congress and staff think they have all the answers and rush to construct and pass legislation. There are clear virtues in prudence, deliberation, and even a little humility. I believe that's what our constitutional framers had in mind for the United States Senate.